Hi, I'm Bree Johnson of Heart and Bones Yoga, and today I'm going to show you how to have better balance. So if you're a yogi and you've been doing yoga for a long time and you feel like you've finally mastered all of your balance poses, you can do tree pose, Ardha Chandrasana, half moon, any of these balancing poses, and you feel like you found some stillness and balance, then I highly encourage when you get to that place to continue to progress and get unbalanced again. Because that time and that place where you're actually feeling totally balanced and still and calm and good, that's a wonderful place to be, but that also signals to us that our brain, our proprioception, needs more challenge. Because proprioception is one of those things that if you don't use it, you lose it. And it's very common as we age to lose our proprioception. So today's practice and lesson is we're gonna go through some really fun ways to challenge our proprioception. We're going to really also help to train our nervous system to learn how to be uncomfortable. And because isn't that a lot of what balancing work is? When you're balancing, you're not steady, we're moving all over the place. And it sends a signal to that safety part of our brain that says, oh, get tight, hold on, don't create injury, don't get hurt. But when we're doing this in a playful practice sort of way, then you are actually able to train that part of us that wants to keep safe to understand that even when we do things like this, when we wiggle and we move, that we are still safe, that we still have control, and that we are able to respond to the different parts and the different things in life that can put us off balance. And that's not just physically. Okay, now let's begin this fun class and this fun practice to improve and challenge our balance and our proprioception. So all you need is just floor. It can be the grass, it can be the floor, you don't need a yoga mat, just stand wherever you are. Take your shoes off if you have them, take your socks off if you have them, so that you can wake up those proprioceptors, all of those little receptors in your feet that communicate from your body to your brain to tell you where you are in space. So now if you're barefoot, place your feet on the ground, maybe you're on a carpet, maybe you're on a yoga mat, but just start to get a sense of the texture and the sensations of what's underneath your feet. And then while you're getting a sense of what's underneath the feet, let's wiggle out our toes a little bit. So feel your toes wiggling. Good, waking up the feet. And then let's start to just shift the weight forward to the front of your toes, shift your weight back to your heels, forward and back. I'll show that to the side here. We'll go forward and back, forward and back. Now, while you're moving your hips and your pelvis forward and back, can you notice where the weight is held through your feet when you do this? So when I bring my pelvis forward, I notice the weight at the front of my feet. When I bring my hips back, I notice it landing in my heels. So let's see if we can invite the weight of our pelvis to land in the heels a little bit more. Because anatomically, your heel bone is a really nice, strong, sturdy bone compared to the bones of the rest of your foot that are quite small, and there's lots of joints and little bones that are more there to be responsive, whereas your heel bone is there to actually hold you up and bear most of the weight of your body. So now, while you're standing here, just feel and allow your heel bones to support you. Feel them connecting to the weight of your body. And then notice if you've got the weight evenly between both of your heel bones. And if not, if you're leaning to one side a little bit more than the other, see if you can bring that weight to the middle. Good. Okay, now that we've got that, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. Now, if that feels comfortable to close your eyes, see what happens. See what happens when you close your eyes. Are you wiggling a little bit? Do you sway a little bit? Are you still? Good, just observe and see. Did your toes grip on the floor the moment your eyes closed? If they did, relax them. Good. Now let's open our eyes again, and then we're going to just stand on one leg. I'm going to go onto my right leg. I'm going to go to one side, but instead of just popping all the way open to the side and letting this right hip pop out like that, I'm going to invite my right hip in and down. So now I'm simply standing on one leg, and you're going to notice as you stand on one leg that there's going to be a little bit of swaying, there'll be a little bit of wobbling, and here I'm going to let you in on a little secret now. Here's the secret to balance. you'll never be still. So sometimes when we start to do balancing poses, so let's go to the other foot. So sometimes when we start to learn and play around with balance, we have this expectation or this intention that I have to be perfectly still. But let's try that. So while we're standing on our other leg now, let's all try to squeeze and hold and try to get as still as you can. And do you notice how that stiffens us up? And it's that stiffness, that resistance to the balance that actually throws our balance off. So instead, what we're going to work on is actually responding to the wobbles. Let's switch legs again and continue this. So I'm standing on my other foot. I'm going to keep feeling like my hips are shifting back so I can feel the weight in my heel. And then I'm going to just do something different with my leg. I'm just literally putting it out at a different angle. And so now that may create some more wiggle, so we'll do that. So I'm going to put my leg in another weird angle that I maybe normally don't do, which can create more wiggle. Now, as you're doing that, can you let yourself respond? So try not to create a shape. Don't try to hold this. Just respond. Get your body in a new position. Notice how the wiggles happen more to recalibrate as your proprioception is trying to recalibrate. And then see if you can respond. And if you have to put your foot down, perfect. This is play, this is fun. So let's try that on the other leg. So stand on one foot, shift the heels back, press your heel into the floor, and then let your leg do some other fun shape. See how that goes. If there's some wiggling, respond to it. Right? Now put your leg somewhere else. Good. Notice if you tend to put more of the weight at the front of your foot. What happens when you bring your heel back or the weight over your heel? Try another spot. Do something different with your arms. And then release. Good. Okay, so that was just setting us up so that we're not trying to create stiffness. We're going to allow ourselves to respond. Now, most of the time when we do balancing, especially in yoga, we're doing it on a flat floor, which can still be, depending on where our balance is, depending on how well honed our proprioception is, that might be perfect. That might actually be the best place to start, on a flat surface. But now if you're starting to be at this point where the flat surface and you can hold these poses really easily, let's make that surface not so flat anymore. So I've got a couple different props here. I'm going to recommend, if you don't have a bolster or yoga block, you probably have at home, you probably have a pillow, you probably have a blanket, something soft, a cushion. So go grab something soft, whatever kind of cushion or pillow that you've got, and then we're going to stand on that. So for me, what I'm going to start off with is I have one of these green yoga blocks. And it's nice because it's kind of stiff, but squishy. There's some yielding in that. So I'm going to put that on the ground, and I'm going to step on it. And let's all step on our soft squishiness together and stand on one leg. Always, like I said, there's a couple points with balance that can help with the stabilization of your hip point. Try not to just sink into the hip. Try to bring your hip in and try to keep your hips back over that heel. Now you're going to notice, I'm noticing right away because now my foot is no longer on a flat surface. So I'm noticing there's lots of wiggling. I'm letting that happen. Those little movements through my foot and my ankle are telling the rest of my body how to be. Now let's take our hands onto our hips and let's do a familiar yoga pose. Let's come up into tree pose. And I'm going to suggest in this tree pose, don't even grab your foot. Just bring your leg as high up your foot as high up your leg as you can and hold. Now, if you did something different with your arms, like bring them up to the ceiling, how does that affect your balance? Or go with whatever feels more comfortable. If it feels more stable for you to have your hands on your pelvis, keep your hands there, hands at the heart, wherever you want to put your hands at the side, right? But the work now, you're noticing, is that new muscles, new awakeness in your brain has to work here to hold yourself up on this unstable surface. So let's try that to the other side. Now, take your time. Get your foot, get your brain used to being on an unstable surface. So maybe you did the other side and being in tree pose was too much. And that's fine if that's the case. If it was, just stand like this. If you feel like you can do the tree pose, just simply putting your foot on the leg, do that. And then decide, do I want to keep my hands on my hips, my heart, to the side, above my head, wherever. And notice, you're going to notice, is this side a little different than the other side? Does this side balance better? So even in the same body, two different legs, two different sides are going to have a different experience. So it's very interesting. I love this balance work. Keep exploring that. See how it feels on an unstable surface. And then release. Good. Okay. Now we're going to go back to the stable surface. We're going to go through another layer of playing with that proprioception. Now, when we had the eyes closed, you may have noticed when you closed your eyes, feet on the floor, that there's a little bit of movement. And that little bit of movement is, again, your proprioception trying to recalibrate itself back to the midline, back to the center. Because when your eyes are closed, there's nowhere for your proprioception, right? Our eyes actually work as a balance point for us. And when you close your eyes, your balance point, that reference point, goes away. So this is where the fun begins. Now, for the first one, we're going to do this with the eyes open. So I'm going to let you choose your variation of standing. So I'm just going to stand on one leg for myself. You can go back into a tree pose. You can do something else with your leg, but let's all just stand on one leg. Do whatever you like with your hands. Now, you probably did this with the eyes looking forward. So let's shift that. Let's look to the one side. What happens when you change your proprioception? Now you have to recalibrate in a different way. Let's go to the other side. Good. Come back to center. Now remember, you don't go into stiffness. Let yourself wiggle and respond. And then staying on this leg, let's go up. What happens when you look up to the ceiling? Do you fall out of it? Do you wiggle more? Now let's go down. Look down. And then back up. Now, one more time, whatever way you looked first, we're not going to that way. We're going to go the opposite way. So I looked over to my left. Now I'm going to look over to my right. And then to my left. And then to the ceiling. And then to the floor. And then back up. Fun, isn't it? Kids, P.S., if you have kids in your life, this is a fun exercise with them as well. So get the whole family to do this. Now we're standing on another leg, so your other leg, and then find that sense of balance, find that relative ease and balance here. And let's look over to one shoulder. Let's look over the other. Let's look up. Let's look down. Good. Now again, we're going to look the opposite way then from what we just did. So I'm going to go over to my right. I'm going to go to my left. And then up. And then down. Beautiful. Let's do the exact same thing, but back onto our squishy surface. Now, this is a moment where we're going to collect our thoughts. And what I mean by that is that there's this, as I talked about at the beginning, there's that sense of safety that our body so wonderfully needs to provide and does provide for us. So what we're doing now is expanding the sense of safety in a safe place, in a controlled environment. So what may happen, because we're going to go onto that unstable surface and we're going to close our eyes. Now what may happen is that you'll immediately feel that, like a sense of fear or a jolt or a tightening. So if you notice that, I encourage you, okay, I see that, and then exhale and then let yourself respond. So instead of trying to stiffen up, move forward, move to the side. If you have to put your foot down, that's fine, come back up. Keep talking to yourself and telling yourself that you are safe, that it is okay. It is safe to stand on one leg on an unstable surface with your eyes closed. Because the worst thing that's going to happen is that you'll just simply put your foot down, right? So let's do this together now that we've got that set up in our brains. So I recommend first with your eyes open, stand on your more unstable surface. And then when you feel ready, invite your eyes to close. And then see what happens. So you're going to roll with this. You're going to respond to these movements. Good. Without fighting it, right? Let's do it another moment. And then release and come out. Whew. This is so, so good. I have been sharing this with people in my classes and trainings for years, and it just, no matter what age you are, this is so important, this kind of work. I highly recommend doing it often. Now, when you're ready, close your eyes. Notice how this side feels. Don't forget to breathe. If you're holding your breath, invite an exhalation. Roll with the movement. Good, okay. Now, we're going to expand on that. We're going to do one more variation here. So the variation that we're going to do now, it's up to you to decide how much you want to progress. If you actually feel better simply standing on one leg on a flat, stable surface and playing around with your eyes closed, that is the best place to start. So as we go through the next variation, I invite you to stay on that stable surface if that feels better. Open your eyes at any point as well, if that helps. But if you are going to challenge this even more, if you want to add on, choose your balance adventure, then you're going to stand again on your unstable surface. And your unstable surface, PS, by the way, can also be a soft yet more firm yoga block. Okay, so it doesn't actually have to be a super soft bolster or a foam roller like I've got here. So choose what works for you. Standing up, when you're ready, close your eyes. Take a few moments to find that balance point, to find that place where you can respond to the movements. And then you're going to look over one shoulder, keeping your eyes closed if you can. And then you're going to look over your other shoulder. Respond. Notice if you find that fear moment and work through it, work with it. Don't tense up. Look up. And then look down. Don't stop breathing, and then open your eyes. Let's go to the next one, to your other leg. When you're ready, you'll close your eyes. Take a moment to find your balance point. Take a moment to exhale. Even take a moment to tell yourself, I am safe, even though this feels challenging, or I am safe even though I am not fully balanced. And then look to one side. And then look to the other, keeping those eyes closed if you can. And then look up. And then when you're ready, look down. And then if everything gets flustered and falling out, try it again. Okay, so now the sky's the limit. These are just some different approaches, some different exercises for you to play with your balance and challenge your proprioception. Don't ever get good at balancing, because now you know what I mean, right? Getting good at balancing means that you need more challenge. So whether that's closing your eyes, whether that's standing on an unstable surface, whether that's going outside in your bare feet and walking across rocks and logs, and anything that's going to challenge that beautiful, wonderful, important proprioception. So play with it. Get creative. And as always, press that subscribe button. Press the like button if you love challenging your balance. And in fact, share in the comments and let us know how you challenge your balance. So happy proprioception. Happy aging with confidence into our old age, and have a fabulous day, everyone. Thanks for being here with me.